Hey guys, just giving you a video update again. Sorry for I'm just so late with these all the time. I've just been super busy, and then really enjoying life and loving school. And so I just wanted to kind of update you guys on kind of some of the things that have been going on in my life. Um, so I'll kind of go through what my life has been like, and then I'll talk about finances, and I'll give you a time if you're like, I don't want to hear about finances. You can just like in the video, and you won't miss anything. But yeah, I have just been having a blast. This semester has been awesome. So January, as many of you know, I was in Alabama uh, working with Dennis at his machine shop, and that was just a super big blessing for me. Thank you, Dennis. Um, and then I have been, for this semester, just really trying to work hard to get through it all. I think this is my last like really heavy workload semester. Um, the next two semesters will be kind of more reading and some papers. But this is my last one that have languages in. So I'm in my final semester of Hebrew, and yeah, it's going pretty well. God's been really blessing me with retention, and yeah, so I really can't complain. So, what classes am I taking this semester? That's a good question. I'm taking Hebrew 2. I'm taking Old Testament interpretation. That class really gives me the skills in order to look at the Old Testament books and then write exegesis papers on them, but really be able to study them, understand the context, the literary context, when were they written, how were they written, why were they written, that kind of thing. But also look at like some of the technical aspects, like text criticism, to like compare different manuscripts to um, to help us with translation and stuff like that. So we kind of dive into all different types of things. So I'm writing an exegesis paper on the Sabbath um, in Exodus 20, part of the Ten Commandments there. And yeah, so that's been pretty cool just to be able to really study the Old Testament in a way that I've never studied it before, and um, and yeah, God's really blessing that. So Sabbath is something I would love to continue to talk to you guys about, because today is Saturday. I'm not doing any schoolwork, completely resting. I'm going to hang out with some friends this afternoon. But yeah, taking my Sabbath and doing my video update for you guys. Um, yeah, so Hebrew 2, Old Testament interp, and then I'm taking a church history class, which I really enjoy. This church history class is from the Reformation to, I guess, present day. So last semester I took one from Pentecost to the Reformation. Now it's the second half. And that one's been really good. Kind of, it's great to see how we got to where we are. So we've touched on John Wesley a little bit, who's been is a big influence in the United Methodist movement. We've talked about like John Calvin, Luther, of course, and yeah, that's been really cool. A lot of violence back then, so I'm glad we've kind of simmered down with our arguments and disagreements. That is a big blessing. So church history, and then probably my favorite class is a preaching class I'm taking. It's called Preaching to Modern Listeners. But yeah, we've just been. I just preached my first sermon for that class on Tuesday or this recent Tuesday, and yeah, it went really, really smoothly. I really loved to preach on it. I preached on the topic of suffering, and in First Peter chapter 1, verses 3 through 9, and that was a good sermon. It really I love when I get to study the text and God really speaks to me while I'm doing that, and just yeah. So thinking about our church a lot um, while I was writing it, just about kind of some of the hardships that Trinity has gone through in the last couple of years, and yeah, and just even through all that, just how we are able to get up in the morning and give glory to God, because we trust him and we know that he loves us. And yeah, so that was a sweet time this week when I was able to preach that. And I was really thinking of my home church of Trinity United Methodist of Opelika. So that was good. Other things, yeah, my life is incredibly busy. I'm working 10 hours a week in the mailroom, and that is going well. I can only manage 10 hours a week, and so I wish I could work more, but I just don't have the hours in the week, in the day really. So on top of my 10 hours a week at the mailroom, I'm also doing about probably 15 hours a week at this church that I've been attending. I don't get paid for it. It's more of my internship, my mentored ministry that is required for my degree here. So kind of how that works in a week is Wednesdays I drive down to Boston and I have a meeting with the head pastor, the associate pastor, and a couple of other guys on staff. And on Wednesday afternoons, we do a planning meeting where everyone comes to this meeting with kind of an outline, a major theme, and a bunch of like preaching points on the sermon that we will be preaching that Sunday. So what that means is like kind of everyone on the ministry team has already studied the text before it's preached on Sunday to the congregation. This also helps who's ever preaching to kind of make sure that they have the real big idea of what the topic is about. So Curtis Cook, who's the head pastor, he does the majority of the preaching on Sunday mornings, and then the associate pastor preaches for him as well. And so yeah, they've let me sit in on that, and they let me participate, and that's really cool. So I love that. And then after that meeting's over, I meet with Curtis one-on-one as part of my mentor ministry, and we just kind of talk about ministry, talk about the future. I really want to just be shaped in a way that I'll be really effective in ministry when I get out. So I'm trying to ask him to kind of help mold me and shape me for how to do ministry in the church. So we talk about a lot of like church politics. We talk about just what would you do in a situation like this? How do you handle these, whatever the situation is. And so those are cool. We had one specific question he brought up was some friends of him, fellow pastors at a church, they were deciding on how they should hire or how they should elect their next elder. So this church is an elder-led church, and the question was, should we specifically look for someone in a minority setting, like a Black or Hispanic, because their congregation, their leadership doesn't reflect the congregation's ethnic identities. So it's all white people on the board or on the elder board right now, and not most of the people that are in their congregation, it isn't all white. So they just want to have adequate representation for everyone. And so that was like, well, how does the church go about that? Do they look specifically for someone that's Black or another minority, or how do they do that in a way that honors both the process of ordaining an elder, but also honors the process of just finding the best candidate? So kind of being able to talk through those kind of things are really, really helpful for me. It gives me that experience that you just don't really learn in the classroom. So I've loved that. Then Sundays are my biggest commitment days. Sundays, I go into the church around 10 a.m. and I usually get home around 11 o'clock p.m. So I spend all day there. Sunday mornings, I go to the service and I just kind of help out. Sometimes I do like ushering and stuff. And then Sundays at 5 p.m. is the 5 p.m. service. And that is a service that I preach at pretty consistently. there's a rotation of a group of guys, and we all take turns, but we all preach during that service. And then following that service is a critique time. So kind of all the guys that are in this group, they all show up at the service. And then after we're done preaching, we all go to a room and we just talk about the sermons and say, at this point was really good. You kind of lost me here. Your main idea wasn't clear. So yeah, just helpful for critiques for people that are learning how to preach and want to do it better. So I've really liked that opportunity. And that was one of the things I was really praying for in my mentored ministry, was that I would find a church that would let me preach. Because a lot of the churches here, they don't have room for all the seminary people to preach, but this one does. So I really like that. And yeah, let's see what else. After Sunday night Sunday night service is over, I drive directly to a small group that I'm leading for the church. And so this is a small group of everyone's about my age, a little older. And this small group maybe has like 8 people in it. So we're doing pretty well. And all the small groups in our church follow the previous Sunday's sermon. So for us, since we meet on Sunday, it's that morning's sermon, and we walk through the text and just talk about it, ask questions that maybe people are having, and that's been a real blessing. I was kind of worried about it, but it's really become a true joy for me to experience. And so I lead that, and there's, that's really fun. So anyway, between work at the mailroom, 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week doing church stuff, my week just like disappears. And so then I'm taking 4 classes, which is a full load. Most people that are working 25 hours a week outside of school are only taking 3 classes. So it really just ends up me being, I have class from 8, and then I try to stay in the library till about 9:30, 10 o'clock. So 8 to 10:30 studying all day, every day, except for Saturdays, because that is my Sabbath. So that's been great. So prayer requests, we'll wrap up prayer requests, then I'll give you a financial update. And so after prayer requests, if you're like, I'm done, you can cut off, or you can stay for the numbers. Prayer requests for me. I would ask that you just pray that I would be able to focus. I'm studying a lot, and I have a hard time like sitting down and just reading a book for 3 hours. And sometimes time just necessitates that I read for 3 hours. And so that's been hard for me to just be able to focus on something for an extended amount of time. So if you guys would just pray that this semester and the following semesters, I would just really start to be able to sit down and just read for an extended amount of time. So what ends up happening is a lot of the times I will read for a while, and then I'll just have to go like walk around, go watch a YouTube video or something to just like change up the pace. But I'd like to be able to kind of extend that study time to be able to go have a little more endurance, I guess. You could just pray for focus. Then the other things you could pray for are just my church group. I'm really loving that I'm being able to pour out and invest in that. But the one of the things we've been praying about in this small group, this community group, is how can I really want to meet a non-Christian and really be able to pour into them. And that's just really hard for me right now because I don't have the time, and my life just keeps me surrounded by Christians all the time. So I'm really praying specifically that God will just put somebody in my lap. So, pray for focus, pray for ministry, both in my community group and with somebody that doesn't know the Lord. And then I guess the third thing you can pray for is just kind of seminary is almost done. I have 1 year left, 2 semesters, and some summer classes. So that's rapidly approaching. So I'm just praying that I get the most out of seminary, but also that I just kind of finish well. So if you guys would pray for focus for my ministry, and then also for me to just finish this race well, that would be greatly appreciated. So anyway, I love you guys, and thank you for your support and your prayers. Now, this is the time you can cut off if you are bored, or if you would like to know the numbers, this is the time. So partnership update financially is we're doing great, and so I just continually thank God for you guys that's happening. So my partnership right now is good. There's a lot of people that are like giving till program completion, and so with those people, and then a lot of people have given like one-time gifts. I am pretty much set as far as the tuition goes. The partnership program covers all of my tuition, but it doesn't include the cost of housing and food. Because I live on campus, and because Massachusetts is, they love laws. One of the laws, or one of the requirements, is that if you live on campus, you have to be on the meal plan. And I think that's statewide, but it may just be Gordon Conwell. I'm not 100% sure, but all that I know is that I have to pay for a meal plan. So I ran the numbers earlier today. Basically, I have to pay out of pocket, separate from the partnership program, about $3,800 a semester. So if you calculate it all out, I guess I owe about $2,000, probably $2,500 on this spring semester, and then next year I will have I'll have 2 more semesters to pay for that way, and that'll be about $7,500. So and then if I add in about $1,600 for summer living expenses, that'll come out to I don't know, probably about $9,000 left that I need to pay to Gordon Conwell. $9,000, $10,000. So if you guys still feel like God is calling you to continue to help support me in the ministry, and what I'm trying to do now is, especially if you've done the pledge and you're like, I'm giving monthly, I've done that with partnership, that's awesome. I would love for you to stay with that, just so I have that consistent partnership giving. For those that maybe have been giving one-time gifts, or have only wanted to give for a year, if you guys still want to help support me in any way, I think what I've kind of talked to some people about this, and the best way that would help me is if you guys would give to my student account. And I know Dennis has talked to some Sunday school classes about this, or maybe Steve has, but if you guys were thinking, oh well, we're going to give a lump sum at some point in time, or we'll just give some money. If we give it to my student account, then what that ends up doing is it just helps me pay for the housing in the mandatory meal plan. So yeah, basically I need to come up with $10,000, and that will cover the rest of seminary. So that's exciting. I'm working as much as I can in the mailroom, but the mailroom doesn't pay. I can't pay for everything. So I make about $100 a week taxes come out of that, gas to drive to church, and all that kind of adds up pretty quick. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as finances. So if you feel like God is still calling you guys to partner with me, and I hope He is, I would love to talk to you more about that. So I will send out this email, and then if you guys want to give in that way, and help support me try to get through this last $10,000, just send me an email back. And this is no pressure. You guys have given so much to me already. But I just wanted to remind you guys that the end is in sight, and eventually I will be graduating. So it's close. I can smell it, and I'm so excited. Now, this has been a really long update. It's already 21 minutes, so I apologize for all the time. But I gave you a way out earlier, so if you're still here, thank you. All right. Well, I love you guys, and I can't wait to see you. Hopefully I'll be in Alabama. My sister is getting married in May, so I'm probably going to be able to visit you guys for a little bit in the first week of May. Will probably be the soonest I'll be down there. So, all right. I love you guys. I pray for you often. Thank you for praying for me, and thank you for supporting me. I love you. Okay. Bye.